All right, welcome in Cube Show Podcast, college football podcast. Comes to you usually on Sundays, but not this week. Took the family to a Braves game on Sunday and had a wedding reception to come back to, so it was just a jam-packed day. Didn't really have enough time to get it in. But I do want to focus in on week one today. We're going to preview some games, talk about a couple of the teams, our expectations, what we think is going to go down, what we're looking for, a couple of things we're hearing from fall camp, and just give you an idea heading into this week what we're looking at for all these football teams. Some of these matchups are going to be really interesting. Some we don't need to spend a lot of time on, so we probably won't, but we'll dive right into it. Quickly, week zero, a couple thoughts. As you guys know, each and every week we're brought to you by Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious. They sponsor the show, so you should take care of them. Go grab some Wickles in your local grocery store. If they don't have them, ask them why. Tell them they need them. And if you need them and can't get them there, Wickles.com. You can have them drop shipped to your home and go catch them there. At Wickles Pickles Instagram, get a bunch of cool stuff there. They've got gear on the website as well, WicklesPickles.com. And go check them out today. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Some week zero thoughts. First and foremost, Georgia Tech and Florida State, masterclass really in gap scheme runs by both of these football teams. There's a lot of similarities in the run games with Norvell and with Buster and what they do. But I just thought that it was the bonus guys, the extra guys that did a little bit more for Georgia Tech. The offensive line played a great game, don't get me wrong. I never want to take credit away from an offensive line. Haynes King, even though he put the ball on the ground twice, no turnovers. I mean, this was a game where Florida State had 2 penalties and Georgia Tech had 3, and there were no turnovers in the game. So this wasn't flukish. There was nothing weird about this. This wasn't, a bunch of big plays. Georgia Tech beat Florida State. And a lot of people pointing fingers at DJ Uiagalelei. I get it. I understand it. Had some opportunities down the field. Missed 2 balls that probably could have been touchdowns. Had a couple drops. Could have been first downs or bigger gains. So had a couple guys that slipped on some plays. Could have done some things. So, I mean, listen, he's not going to be a deep ball guy anyway. Down the field accuracy has not ever been his strength. So you got to build it around him. And I didn't think the run game was going good enough. Early on, it looked like it was going to, but then it kind of slowed down. And did a nice job of putting pressure on that group where they needed to. Took advantage of some of the pressures that I think they thought were coming. Florida State was in trouble. But on the flip side of that, Jackson Hall's tight end for Georgia Tech, absolutely phenomenal. I haven't enjoyed watching a tight end that much in a long time. When I went back and took a look at that film, kind of got an idea what Georgia Tech did. And really the first play summed it up for me. You go back and watch it, stretch play to the left, and it cuts back all the way back behind the backside tackle, so all the way to the right off the line of scrimmage. And then there were about 8 or 9 Florida State defenders front side of that play. So really almost nobody staying home on the backside to be able to go make that play. And there you had it. But 85, tight end Jackson Halls, as I mentioned, he blocked his rear end off. And I'll say this too, the offensive line was great. Halls was great. Even some of those backs, and they're not big backs for Georgia Tech, but they get after you. They run hard. They have great patience. They finish forward. And when they're asked to block, pass pro in the run game, they do it. Buster's going to give you all the motions, all the shifts, all the eye candy. Did a great job with that. Thought it really set a lot of things up. But when you saw that first stretch play, and you had that kind of flow from the Florida State defense, guarantee you Buster was up in that booth smiling saying, we got him. Because it sets up everything else that they want to do beautifully, by the way. And so I just thought it was a masterclass in zone scheme runs, a masterclass in how to build off of things that work. And you didn't ask your quarterback to do a whole lot. Haynes King had a solid game, ran for like 54 yards, had a decent night passing, but he didn't have to be dynamic because the front 7 was attacking and caused problems. And you played ball control. I think it was 1 possession in the last 21-plus minutes for Florida State, 14 total possessions. So it was cool to watch, cool to see, proud of that staff because there's a lot of guys on that staff that I really like. Brent Key being one of them. He's a Birmingham guy like I am. And the guy that he brought in that I want to give some extra credit to that I hadn't heard anybody talking about is Trent McKnight, his wide receivers coach. These wide receivers block their asses off. And that sticks out when you see it because it's not often that you do, especially collectively see a group of wide receivers getting after folks. This group did. And it was blatant. It was obvious. And it made a lot of runs hit for an extra 5, an extra 10 because of what they were doing out on the perimeter or even coming down inside, and they were asked to do a couple of times. So solid performance. There's a lot to build on there for Georgia Tech. They're going to be a handful for a lot of teams. I will get to my playoff prediction. Not that you guys care. I really don't think anybody cares about any of these picks because all you want to do is just focus on the stuff that people got wrong. Because when I hit 3 out of 4 in last year's playoff, didn't hear a damn word about it. So what's the point? Why should I even go into it? But I'll tell you. And we'll get to some SEC stuff that I think is going to happen as well. Predict the championship game. We'll go into that. So let's roll into week one. Before we do that, also SMU quickly. You made some big plays down the field late. Tight end had an amazing game. Quarterback made big throws down the field when you had to. But when I went back and watched it, I was surprised at how much that defensive line got pushed around and how little push the offensive line got. But, man, we got quality games week 0, competitive games down to the wire, a couple games that looked like they were going to go one way, second half or fourth quarter they go back the other way. So I think it was just what we needed to kind of lather us up for week 1 and get into it. Blue Delta jeans, they want to get you into them no matter what week it is because they're stretchy, they're breathable. If it's hot summer, I've mentioned my wife and I had to go to that wedding reception. It was burning up 4 o'clock on Sunday. Had my Blue Delta jeans on with a sport coat. Looked nice enough to be able to pull that off. And wasn't sweating my rear end off because those things aren't super heavy and baggy and making me sweat even more. Go to BlueDeltaJeans.com today. You can get them customized online. They'll fit you online for them now. Gift cards available. Christmas coming up, birthdays, whatever that is. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Go order some today. It's the only pair of jeans you're ever going to want, the only denim you ever need. And tell them you heard about them right here on Cube Show. They are fantastic. All right, quickly, Thursday, we're going to get Arkansas Pine Bluff at Arkansas, War Memorial in Little Rock, Murray State at Mizzou. All right, a couple things that I'm looking for here. Taylor Green, quarterback. How is he managing Bobby Petrino's system? What does it even look like? Are we really going to get this fullback in the game? Are we really going to get I formation? Can they have success running the football? They should be fairly dominant in this game, and don't be surprised if Pine Bluff loads the box, moves a bunch, slants, you see run through, trying to disrupt that run game and force Taylor Green into passing because it's not necessarily an overly proven wide receiver group for the Hogs, even though Satanga and Armstrong, some of those guys have been there for a while. Still think you go out there and you make them win that game through the air, if you can. But I want to see if that Arkansas offensive line can take over and the run game can take over, maybe even utilizing Green's legs just a little bit. But how is that going to appear just on the surface? And then defensively, like how much 3-down are we going to get? Landon Jackson's going to move around a little bit. I want to see who's in at linebacker and where in Travis Williams' defense and just kind of how they build upon that. But it should be a good win for the Razorbacks. You just want to see where some guys are aligned and how they're managing some things from a personnel standpoint, both on offense and defense. Murray State's at Missouri. By the way, that Arkansas game, ESPNU 6:30 Thursday night. 7, SEC Network, Murray State at Missouri. Just want to see Brady Cook be clean. Want to see him operate the offense in the fashion in which we know he can. There's not going to be a lot of extra risk-taking, I wouldn't think here. Pretty simple plan from Kirby Moore. But I do want to see a couple of the new offensive linemen that are going to be stepping in. And then I want to see, too, defensively, that secondary get guys to the ground at a similar rate that they did a year ago. Also, Marcus Carroll at running back, Nate Noel at running back. The stretch play, is it going? How does that look? Because they'll build upon that throughout the course of the season. But I don't think you're going to see anything glamorous. You're not going to see Brady Cook with a lot of designed runs, maybe not too many balls down the field as far as taking risks. But you get those receivers going a little bit early, high percentage throws, pad the score, get out of there with a win. Running backs, secondary, getting guys to the ground, and probably just really the defense, alignment, assignment, effort, because it is a bit of a new scheme. So see how you react to that. You got Temple at Oklahoma on Friday night, August 30th. That's 6 o'clock on ESPN. Offensive line, that's about it for Oklahoma. And, physically, I would want to see the defensive line, the front 7, impose a little bit of their will because it's one of the things that we keep talking about with Oklahoma is it's a little bit of a lighter front 7, collectively, all of it. So are they going to be able to hold up? Want to see them maybe punch this team in the face when they're on defense and if they're going to have the capabilities to do that throughout the course of this season. But we know we've got talent at receiver with Deion Burks, quarterback Jackson Arnold. Can that offensive line hold up? Can they open up holes? What is Bill Bedenbaugh's group going to look like? Because that will answer a ton of questions for what Oklahoma is going to be this year. And I think we'll get some takeaways from it. If there's not a lot of run through, if there's not a lot of pressure, if they're opening up some holes, you can take that and you can move on with it. And you can figure out a way to make that last most of the season. All right, Saturday morning, Georgia Clemson. And I'm excited for this one because I think one of the better matchups of the entire weekend is that Clemson front 7 against the Georgia offensive line. We mentioned center been a little bit dinged up in camp. Both guards having really good camps. One tackle having a good camp. You have a nice group of tight ends. But you also have a new running back in ATN. How is he going to fit in? What's his role going to be? Are they going to move him much? Will we get some 2-back? Who's going to line up in different places in this Georgia offense? Is Dominic Lovett going to be more of a move guy? listen, you have a receiver that played running back for you last year that's back this year as a receiver. You're going to have him lined up in different places. Dylan Bell doing some different things for you. So I just think the comfort level for Carson Beck should be off the charts, and I want to see that on display against one of the better front sevens in college football. And can Michael Williams, Christian Miller, and that group be able to consistently get pressure and disrupt enough to allow them to be successful against Cade Klubnik and kind of keep him where he was last year and not being able to go off and find a way to win that game? I think Georgia wins that game. I like Georgia to win that game. But I'll be interested to see just how good the offense looks and how disruptive the defense can be, because I think Malachi Starks in the secondary will be okay. Specifically, they can cause some problems up front. But just keep in mind, that's a quarterback-friendly system. It's a system driven by the quarterback that Coach Riley's going to run there at Clemson. Matt Luke comes in now as your offensive line coach. They say that group's ready to take a step. It's going to be better, going to be more physical. I'll believe that when I see it. And I think Georgia, even if it's not one of the all-time great dominant Georgia defensive lines, they can have success against this group. Vandy and Virginia Tech going to be a handful, but very anxious to see quarterback situation. Diego Pavia, see the new offense that Tim Beck brings in, because it is an offense that can allow you to be successful against more talent. Now, where I really have some issues for Vandy is on the other side of the ball. Even though Clark Lee now has his hands on it a little bit more, Kyron Jones and company probably going to move the ball around a little bit more. Georgia Clemson, 11 o'clock ABC. Virginia Tech and Vandy, 11 o'clock ESPN. All these are central times because I live in God's time zone. So you can figure the other stuff out on your own and how to change it. Going to be a tough one for Vandy, I'll say that. If the defense shows up and they get a turnover or two, they can win the game, because I think the offense is going to surprise some people, and that's mainly because of how I know that it's managed it. I had that offense last year 2 different times and studied it a couple of other times. It can be a handful, and it makes life really easy with some playmakers around there. But that one's going to be one where Vanderbilt, I think, has to play pretty close to perfect football, specifically on defense. They got to get the ball back a couple times. Tennessee taking on Chattanooga, 11:45 SEC Network. Just want to see Nico operate the offense. I want to see a couple of these new receivers, just sort of how they fit in, what the role is going to be. I've told you guys before, Tennessee, a group that they got to have a couple guys healthy, and they can make a playoff run. I got playoff here I'm going to give to you in a second. Might be some good news for the Vols and your fans, but we'll see. Nico managed the offense. Second, third, fourth running back. Want to see how that group looks when they enter the game, because they're going to get some good reps. Brazel, McCoy, some of these receivers that have been dinged up or are new, how they kind of fit in. And then a couple of the freshmen, D-line, tight end, what kind of reps they get, how much impact they're really going to be make. But Mays at center, Peely at linebacker, I think 2 guys that have to stay healthy for this football team if they're going to make the playoff and maybe make a playoff run. They have the receivers. They got most of the offensive line intact. It's going to be fine. Defensive line is going to be really good. And I think they're going to be able to be problematic up front. They need a second-level protector. I think Peely can be that, and also a playmaker there. You don't have to do too much from, maybe going overboard with the numbers defensively to add pressures, because you got 2 edge guys that should be able to get home. You have 4 or 5 guys in the middle that are proven that should be able to handle everything else, make life easy on that secondary, and Tennessee could end up having a pretty good season. I think Tennessee makes a push for the playoff either way. I think Georgia's in the playoff. I think Missouri is probably in the playoff. I think Arkansas is going to fight, scratch, and claw for a bowl game. Vanderbilt, I don't think is going to go to a bowl game. All right, 2:30 ABC, Miami and Florida. Folks aren't going to like this one, but I think Florida gets this game. I think Florida's going to be able to match the physicality. I think Cam Jackson and company up front. I know you're down 1 defensive tackle going into the season, but I think there's enough there to be problematic. And I think Austin Armstrong and Ron Roberts are going to be able to design some things that are going to be able to steal the eyes of Cam Ward in a new system with new players around him, on the road, hot as hell, in the swamp, out as hell. And I think Florida's going to find a way to get it. I want to see if this offensive line can withstand a really good defensive line. I want to see if Graham Mertz can do just a smidge more down the field. So that's probably going to require another weapon or two being able to step up for this Florida offense. But I think that this is one where they probably go into the mindset of let's limit possessions across the board. We'll take the big plays away from Cam Ward. We'll design some things up front to kind of mess it up a little bit. Offensive line talented, but maybe some new faces. You got a monster running back who's transferring in, but he hasn't played with these guys either. So try to disrupt the timing and the rhythm, the communication up front, take advantage of that, try to get the ball back once or twice, And then all of a sudden you look at it as, all right, we've managed this game down to 1-2 more possessions each. All we got to do is get a field goal, get out of here. We got to win. I like Florida at home to get that one. I know a lot of people aren't with me on that, don't like that. A lot of people think Florida's going to fall on their face this year. I'm not in that camp. I think you'll see a different Florida football team than what you've seen in the past couple of years. ODU at South Carolina, 315 SEC Network. This comes down to Lenore Sellers. Want to see him operate things in a clean fashion. How much can he use his legs? How physical can he be? Nick Harbor, have the hands come on just a little bit. Who else is going to step up at receiver for South Carolina? I feel pretty good about running back in Rocket Sanders. He's been healthy through camp. The offensive line has been very competitive. You got 2 starters from last year that are back that got beat out. So you got maybe a little bit of depth there. You got a couple veterans back at tight end slot, along the defensive line in the secondary. We won't get a true test against Old Dominion, although it's an offense that can get going. But I think with veterans in the secondary, mainly at safety, and a veteran-laced defensive line, veteran group of linebackers, South Carolina's defense will be better than people think. And if Sellers and company can just find a way to get some things going offensively, some of that going to depend on those wide receivers. That could be a little bit of a problem. But I look at it as this is a massive opportunity for South Carolina to begin to build on some things where they can go pull a couple of upsets this season. I think the upper tier talent is there and the veterans are there. It's just you got to find a way to bring it all together. You got to play clean football. Eastern Kentucky at Mississippi State, 5 o'clock, SEC Network Plus, ESPN Plus. I have confidence in Blake Shapen. I have confidence in the offensive line. Crowded running back room, I think you'll be fine. Good tight end room. The offense is going to go. I'm not really worried about it. Who's going to be my problem guys up front on defense? Who's going to be my edge rusher? Who are going to be guys in the middle that can hold the point, that can penetrate, disrupt, cause problems, that can keep pullers from getting around or from keep double teams going back to the linebackers and getting in their laps? Those are the things that I'm anxious to see about how they're going to play out and what they're going to be with Mississippi State. I think it's a good group of receivers. Kelly Akari and company are going to be fine, especially in this system, in this offense, because Shapen looked clean in the spring game. He has experience in it. He knows it. He's a vet. That part's going to work itself out. How many stops can you get on defense? And then also, I'll say this, offensively, because the tight end room is going to be solid, can Jeff slow things down at certain points in time to protect that defense? That's one thing that's kind of happening with Lane and Pete Golding right now. Can Coleman Holzer and company kind of get Jeff to get on the same page, or does he feel like he's got to go straight Tecmo Bowl and just go outscore everybody? Western Kentucky at Alabama, 6 o'clock ESPN. TJ Finley going to start for Western Kentucky at quarterback. Has a bunch of talent. Alabama's played him a couple of times. Hadn't gone well for him. Tackle positions. Want to see both. Yes, Caden Proctor will be at left. Probably going to play 2 at right. How does that work out? Up front, defensively. Who's the edge guy out of the 4 that we keep hearing about? Robinson, Pierre, whoever else it is, Cott, that's going to be able to get back there on a consistent basis and be problematic. How problematic can the front 4 be defensively? Are we going to see the good Otis? Are we going to see the good Smith? Who are we going to see up front that's going to be problematic on a regular basis? Tim Keenum? I think he can do it. I think you have one of the best tandems of linebackers in the SEC. But after that, with a little bit of Jordan Jefferson in there, I'm not sure who else fills that void. So if you lose 1 or 2 of those, speaking of Lawson and Campbell, who else is going to be there? And then how does that secondary mix and match? Malachi Moore's been there forever. I told you guys before, that staff previously told me that he could play any position in the secondary. They're that confident in him. He'll be a field general. He'll be great for that group. But you bring in Keon Sabb at safety from Michigan. How much can he help? A couple of others that are coming in as freshmen and transfers are going to play at corner. So just how much are they on the same page in a new scheme and that vision coverage and who can give you that pressure off the edge? Alabama's going to win that game. South Carolina's going to win their game. State's going to win their game. But I just want to see individually who are some of the guys that do some different things. Furman at Ole Miss. That's going to be 6:30 on ABC. We're not going to learn a lot about Ole Miss here. Don't be surprised to see guys out early because of how dinged up they got early in the season last year. But I think you're looking at this defensive line. Princely off the edge. Can he be a guy they lean on for a consistent pass rush? Where certain guys line up? Physically, is that offensive line a little bit different? Can they run inside zone a little bit more and be able to get a push on a consistent basis, which will change how they look in 4-minute offense? It'll change how they look maybe at the beginning of games, trying to set the tone. See how that group with some bigger, more physical offensive linemen maybe can operate in a little bit of a different way. Because Juice Wells will be next. Got to see if he's healthy, because if he is, I've said it a million times, he's going to be magnificent. He's a dynamo. Ole Miss going to win that game comfortably. Notre Dame at Texas A&M. The Notre Dame offensive line issues should be concerning. with Shamar Turner and Nick Gordon up front on that defensive line, it's going to be a problem. At Kyle Field, 6:30 on ABC. Offensively is where I have a little bit of concern for Texas A&M. I think the defense is going to be fine. I think that defensive line will disrupt, will be problematic. I mean, you got Riley Leonard and Mike Denbrock's offense with a porous offensive line, and you're not super dynamic at receiver or running back. And I don't think you're close to what you've been at tight end if you're Notre Dame. Not saying you're bad, but they've been unbelievable there the past couple of years. So can you come up with a game plan with a good group of backs and talented receivers, a talented quarterback, and a ton of questions on your offensive line to just make life easy and find a way to go out there, even if it's a slugfest, slow it down, sort of a slopping them around in the mud type of a football game, and get a W. If you can, you set some things up for this season to maybe be special. The Notre Dame defensive line is going to be a handful. Howard Cross and those guys can get after it. They're going to be problematic. So how can Colin Klein protect that group up front to be able to make life a little bit easier? Do you run Connor Wigman? I'm anxious to see that. He's run quarterbacks in the past. Do you want to run a quarterback that's been dinged up? I don't really think that would be advantageous for you. So offensively, I'm interested to see that game plan for A&M, the role of Connor Wigman. But I think the Texas A&M slows this game down and they get a win at home against the Fighting Irish. I think Marcus Freeman's a good coach. Riley Leonard's a good quarterback. Denbrock's a good OC. But that's a lot of new with an offensive line that could be a real problem in this game. And you're not going to line up and run it down A&M's throat. It's just not going to happen. They're too good up front, and they're too problematic up front. So I think A&M steals one at home to kick off this season. Alabama, A&M at Auburn. You're not going to learn exactly who this team is. 6:30 on ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus. Has Peyton Thorne taken a step? From what I understand, he has. Left tackle right now is a little bit of a concern. It's not the left side, it's the left tackle. Dylan Wade's going to start at left guard. He can kick out to left tackle. You got a couple other guys like Tyler Johnson that have been working there. We'll see how that looks or what they do. You have a tight end, I think, that you can use to cover that up to a certain extent, and a couple of good backs and quarterback mobility that could help there as well. But you've got to find a way to get comfortable with whatever it is after this game. You can maybe go one more game, but you got to start trying to figure this thing out of what it's going to look like and what it's going to be. And for me, it's the defense. I feel good about the receiver position. I feel good about the backs. It's going to be a run-first offense. They think they can run the football. They should be able to run the football against this group, no matter how much they move, no matter how much they do. This is year 2 in the system. Jeremiah Wright's ready to go at right guard. They should be ready to move people. Connor Lew's going to be a stud at center. That should happen in this game. If it doesn't, then you've got problems. So I'll tell you right now, Auburn wins this game comfortably. Peyton Thorne has a good game. The big question mark is defense. Is it Bleedy? Is it Rakes? That can come into this game and be a problem up front, that can make things happen on that defensive line. Because if the linebackers are healthy, and apparently they have been a little bit dinged up in fall camp, the D-line might not have to do too much. And I feel like the secondary is going to be okay. This is a year in which I think Auburn advances past what some people believe, and it starts against Alabama A&M. But my questions will be the defensive line and then left tackle. How does that position look heading into that one against A&M? Southern Miss at Kentucky, I'll be on the call for this one. Tate Rodemaker is going to get the start at quarterback for Southern Miss. Florida State transfer, super talented. This all comes down to Bush Hamden's offense and Brock Vandegrift. I think the defensive line is going to be solid. We know about some of the star power that's back there for Kentucky. Dumas Johnson transfers in at linebacker. Most of secondary back. Brad White does a great job. The defense should be super solid. Now, the offense, we just don't know. Chip Trainum's got the broken hand. Ohio State running back transfer. Don't know exactly what he's going to look like. Talented group of receivers. In my understanding, if some of the vets that transferred in are helping some of the younger kids understand how to do it on a more consistent basis. But now you have an offense that's going to kind of slow things down just to as far as the processing to an extent for your quarterback. Maybe utilize tempo a little bit more at times. Have more probably 1 and 2 read plays where quarterback's going to have the option to get rid of it quick. Make life simple. And then next thing you know, if you got your receivers making plays on high percentage throws, the offensive line can hold up. That's a big question mark for me too. So I go into this Kentucky game thinking confident that they can get a comfortable win. They're 28-point favorites. But I want to see the O-line. Have they gelled? Who looks like they're going to be a major player? Marquez Cox was a great fit last year. Also, watch the tight end group here because that's an underrated group for Kentucky going into this season. And then I guess whatever else is left at running back, how much that's going to help down the road. But I just want to see the comfort level, the processing, the decision-making of Brock Vandegrift and Bush Hamden's offense because that's going to tell us a big piece of the story moving forward for exactly what they're going to be. Kind of like the Better Business Bureau of Alabama can help you be what you want to be as far as what your business is doing and who they're bringing in. If you need better web traffic, if you need web design, if you need digital marketing anywhere around Central and South Alabama, go to bbb.org and put your zip code in today. You're going to want to see all the different things the Better Business Bureau of Central and South Alabama can do for your business. Listen, it's easy. Go in there, let them see what you're all about, let them see what you're doing, and then let them come up with a plan for you. It might be billboard digital marketing. It could be marketing through the web. It could be web advertising where they try to push more people to your website, or maybe your website just needs an upgrade. Over 4,000 accredited businesses right here in Central and South Alabama with the Better Business Bureau of Alabama. Go to bbb.org and see exactly what they can do for your business today. All right, finally, Sunday, USC LSU. I think LSU will be too physical for USC. I think whether or not Miller Moss is under pressure or not, that LSU is going to be able to control the football. I think with tight end usage, I think with multiple backs that can play physical style of brand of ball, that LSU will play control. They're not going to want to give a ton of possessions to that USC offense. And I think LSU has receivers that are going to be able to consistently make plays. The big question is just the defense in general. Yeah, Blake Baker comes in. So how are we using Harold Perkins? He's going to knife through. He's going to pressure. He's going to line up in different places. He's too athletic. He's too much of a freak show not to. So from that perspective, I really think that that's going to be a way for LSU to find success and go win this football game. LSU is going to win this game. It's going to be because they're a more physical football team. How much has it changed for Lincoln Riley? You bring a DC across town from UCLA. Everything looks like it's going to be different. But is the mindset really different? Are you still taking multiple weeks off of practice in the spring because you have guys dinged up? Are you allowing transfers to practice that you know are leaving that sets a bad example in your locker room? These are questions that I have about just sort of where they are collectively. And I want to see if things really are sort of taking a turn for the better for Southern Cal. But you're doing it against the best offensive line in college football, a veteran quarterback with a ton of talent at running back and wide receiver. I think LSU gets the win. They're a 4-point favorite in Vegas. And Sunday night, I think that'll cap off one hell of a weekend for the SEC. I think Georgia and Alabama will face off in the SEC championship game. I think Alabama will get knocked back a couple of notches, and Ole Miss will get the next highest seed for the SEC. Here are my playoff teams that I have in. Once again, not that you guys care at all, but I've got Georgia the 1 seed, Ohio State the 2 seed. I'll give Utah the 3 seed, and I think that Oklahoma State matchup and potentially matchup again is going to be interesting to watch because I think those two teams are going to be ahead of the pack, but there's going to be a lot of dangerous teams in that league. I have NC State at the 4 seed. Yes, here we go again. A lot of y'all forgetting Grayson McCall is playing quarterback for NC State this year. Do they have enough juice at receiver? Do they have enough in the secondary? I don't know. But I don't really love anybody in the ACC. I think Miami is very similar. I think Florida State can be semi-similar. I think Clemson is similar. But all these teams are missing something big. Virginia Tech's a team that could kind of stretch a little bit. Louisville's a team that I think can be really dangerous. So I don't look at like a true leader of the pack. So I'll take the veteran quarterback with a coach that I know the kids love playing for, and they're going to find their way into the college football playoff. All right, the 5 seed then is going to go to Ole Miss, who I think jumps Alabama there because they lose in the SEC championship game. I'm really interested to see how conference championship game losers are treated in this new system. Because as we know, in years past, they have been thrown out to the wolves and basically just been thrown to the Liberty Bowl and to the Music City Bowl and the Cheez-It Bowl and just, we don't want y'all. Don't need it. So the 6 seed is going to be Oregon. 7 seed is going to be Bama. The 8 seed is going to be Penn State. The 9 seed is going to be Missouri. Missouri's schedule is too comfortable not to get in. Now, 10-2, it'll be problematic for them to get in. But I just, with that runway and what they have coming back, I think Missouri gets in. Now, I'm going a little bit homer here, and y'all are going to be pissed, and I don't really care. Notre Dame, with that loss to A&M, I think has to run the schedule to get in. But I think it's feasible, possible. Even with one more loss, I think Notre Dame oftentimes gets the benefit of the doubt. They find their way in as the 10 seed. I think Tennessee gets in as the 11 seed. And I think Memphis is your group of 5 team in as the 12 seed. Penn State will advance to play Georgia. Georgia will advance. Ole Miss will advance over Memphis to play NC State. Ole Miss will go down to Georgia again. Georgia will play in the championship game. Bama takes out Notre Dame. Ohio State takes out Bama. Oregon takes down Tennessee. Oregon takes down Utah. Ohio State gets Oregon back and loses to Georgia in the national championship game. And Georgia is your college football playoff national champion for the first time as a 12-team bid. That's it. That's what we got. That's my quick preview. Not that a lot of you guys care. Please go like, subscribe to the YouTube page. I wanted to try to just blast through some of that, give you some previews of what's coming up this weekend. And as you know, next week, we will watch the film of every SEC game, break it down, and give you what we saw right here on the show. Tell your friends about us. We appreciate subscribers going up. We appreciate you sticking with us through the off season. I don't care what Josh says. It's still an off season. All right. Hell, I was calling UFL games. I had less of an off season than he did. So I ain't worried about it. And, I see that he's now, going retroactively naming his show after himself because other people have been doing that. All right. We'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe, 5-star review, leave a comment on what you like, what you didn't like. This 12-team playoff's hard, man. I don't know how it's going to go. I feel pretty good about the first 5 or 6 seeds, but I think the ACC could go a lot of different ways. I think the Big 12 could go a ton of different ways. I like the SEC. I think the 3 through 5 could be really interesting. And if you notice, there's a team in Texas I didn't have in the playoff. I just got bad vibes right now, man. I love Sark. I love Quinn Ewers. I love that offensive line. Love Kelvin Banks. But the running back injuries and D-line being different. All this that we're hearing about Bo Davis at LSU, he's also not at Texas anymore. You have to take that into consideration. So, all right, I got to go because I'm going to just keep rambling. Thanks you guys for tuning in. We're back next week.